Hi everyone, I'm really busy with some documents, some political and legal documents that I've got to compile here. But I just wanted to put through something that I really strongly advise you to look into. I'll just make sure I'm saying the correct person's name. This is Andrew Lowenthal. He's this Digital Civil Liberties, I'm not sure, CEO of something or other. You can have a look on his social media. Now, it's just been recent news that the misinformation bill has been reintroduced to Parliament in Australia. And over 11 months ago, I did a video called High Treason that showed that Todge and Nut, through their Shell charity organisation that's American, paid for policy change in Australia through a policy submission. And the company they partnered with is a Shell non-for-profit research organisation called Reset Australia, which is also partnered through, is the same. It's really a Shell organisation being run by a company called Purpose Asia Pacific. Purpose Asia Pacific is then owned by the French company Capgemini, and then also it is then, what is it, Reset Australia. You've got Luminate is the major donor of Reset Australia. Luminate is the Omidyar Group, who I think, did they create eBay? Anyway, American, a World Economic Forum partner. So is Capgemini. It just reeks of WEF. WEF, is just a mask towards bigger powers, but it's still an issue. It's still foreign interference. And it involves Jeremy Hymans, who is a Davos protege, and who is the creator and promoter of soft power. He created pretty much climate change movements from the very get-go to make, in 2014, to make the world aware that climate change was an issue when it wasn't. It was always around as a conspiracy, but it was never believable. And he was the one who started all of the movements in the US. He's Australian born, became a dual or solo US citizen later on. And he's a part of the board of Luminate. He's running Purpose, he's running Avaz, he's running all these different movement organizations online that then promote misinformation of policy to push policy change. For example, COVID vaccines. He was pushing vaccine misinformation with Todge earlier on, etc., etc. And I've completely lost where I am, but I've done that video, and this is in regards to this misinformation bill, because Reset Australia is heavily has been infiltrating Australian government for a very, very long time, and so has, in essence, Purpose. It also put through a policy submission for the misinformation bill. Reset Australia did. And so that already exposes foreign interference in our government policy and our trying to pass the bill. The bill shouldn't be passed. But on a more serious note, it involves our monarchy, which then breaches and breaks our constitution. It's massive. It's like if America had a king, if America had a king And then they became kind of like a ceremonial king and said, here, I'll give you a government, I'll give you the White House. Well, I think that's really what's happening covertly. But anyway, I'll give you the White House and pretend you have an independent government. But here and the agreement is, I'm not going to engage politically in anything because that's your role. And if I do, well, back then you're beheaded. But it's treason, and it's treason against the nation. It's treason. You know, it's pretty much like the end. I'd be abdicated. Well, the king would be abdicated, right? And it would be the complete and utter destruction, self-destruction of the monarchy if you had a monarchy in the US. So imagine if you had a ceremonial king and you had the White House, and the White House's role is to only be like your government, obviously, and then your ceremonial king then gets engaged in your politics. And your whole history and identity is based around this king and his family. It is the ultimate betrayal. It's so serious. It is so serious that it's worse than Edward VIII being a Nazi and threatening to kill his own countrymen is a terrible thing, and going against them, absolutely awful. And I guess this is more towards literally the constitution of the Commonwealth. So it doesn't even just affect Australia, though. It affects like the entire Commonwealth. It affects Britain. It affects literally everyone. And then on top of it, you've got. I know I'm ranting, so you can be angry at me, and I'm sorry. You can file a complaint, but I'm just talking. It's massive. It's massive. Very, very serious. And then today, this guy, with the handle Network Effects, then puts out that the misinformation bill, the Australian misinformation bill, is in essence flawed. Well, not flawed, it's foreign interference, because it's completely built on the writings of Aspen Institute. And Todge is on the commission of Aspen Institute, and I've just debunked the fact that Aspen Institute seems to be a CIA operation, and I think it's backed by Hillary, and I think it's backed by the Kennedys, but I'm not sure about that. I do not know too much about that, and I don't really want to get into that, but it's definitely government funded anyway, and that's why it's so powerful and almighty in the US, and shouldn't even exist. I mean, you know about the Twitter files, you know about all that. So the fact that they've written our bill to censor Australians is just like, this is another side, another point to make, the fact that you've got the monarchy infiltrating our policy. And then it goes back to that article I just showed you recently, the fact that Nut and Todge's sole purpose of their relocation and being in America is global policy change. And they've been set up to be on the board of Aspen Institute, and now they're literally trying to change global policy. Do you see how this is working? So it is what they say. It is what is happening. And now from two different ways, two different approaches, Todge is literally the person. I'm not saying he's a genius. I'm not saying he's the author. But in two different ways, he's affecting our policy for the misinformation bill to pass. Completely corrupt, collusion, foreign interference, treachery, and again, high treason. I don't know how many times I have to fucking say that. People can talk about it not being high treason all you want. It's against our constitution. Please don't represent my country and don't speak for my country. So this post here has a link of the research, a Substack, talking about how in the Twitter files that basically the misinformation bill being built on the industry code co-written by First Draft participants in the Aspen Institute's Hunter Biden laptop suppression exercise. So now I'm going to send you in the pinned comment below, I'll send you a link to that article so you can have a read. And I'll also send you a link to the high treason video I've done. And I just want you to have a think about how massive this is. My video and with this article, it involves now 3 countries, including me, my country. That's the victim of all this. But you've got the US and you've got the UK. Well, and then you've got, France, because you've got Capgemini's French. It's just, it's insane. So I guess you can have a look at that. I know that Mike Benz has also commented on this. He has said that, the US ambassador is Caroline Kennedy. Look, for me, I'm like, well, that really, obviously I'm thinking, how the fuck did she get that title? Really? She really shouldn't be an ambassador to anything. She definitely shouldn't be an ambassador to Australia. But that being said, I think more than anything, that really makes me connect to her presence and her relationship that she's been establishing with both Prince William, the monarchy in general, the whole Kennedy family, Kerry Kennedy with the awards with Todge and Nutt, and then Caroline Kennedy with Prince William and Princess Kate. But the entire Kennedy family being in complete support of the royal family of late. It's very odd to have these sorts of relationships when this is happening in Australia. Very, 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 very odd. So I think I just want to put that out there. I remember reading an article one time that the Kennedys are the closest thing in America that you get to royalty. And now that I think about it, I think how strange that they put that article up. How very, very strange. Because now it just feels coincidental. But anyway, I hope everyone's okay and everyone's happy and living their best life. But I'll send you the links and see what you think. Thanks, guys.